and welcome back. There's been so many people messaging me going, when is the next one about marketing coming up? The marketing edition of If It's in the Mind, It Can Be Managed. We're back. This is episode 2 of Marketing for Coaches. We have got possibly the most fun marketing expert in the what are we? The East Coast of Scotland? You have to be, by far. So we have Jade Wood. Introduce yourself. Tell everybody what you do, where you're from.
Okay, so I'm from the East Coast of Scotland. I'm in Glenrothes. I am a marketing consultant and strategist. My name is Jade. You know what episode are we going to get to where I'm going to get this right? It's like the hardest part of the podcast for me. Hi, I'm Jade. I do marketing stuff. I'm in Glenrothes.
I love the normality of it all. We were just talking about your little holiday. Where was your holiday? Before we get into the marketing stuff, and there's a reason we're asking about this because this is all about messaging. But what did you do for a holiday?
I went camping. Love camping. So yeah, I know I look like a girl that likes to go on lavish abroad holidays and lounge by the pool with a daiquiri. I do like those. Nothing to take away from that. But my heart's in the Highlands of Scotland. So we went up to Aberfoyle this time. Normally we go up and camp on the banks of Loch Rannoch, which is just absolutely beautiful. But this time we tried a campsite, which was a bit of a different experience. I know, like there was electric, there was toilets, there was showers. Like, is it even camping? It was great. It was really good. Dog tolerated it. Kid loved it. Had a really great time. Felt really fresh and relaxed and come home. And then since I've been back, it's just been like, what day is it? What am I doing with my life? Am I going to win the lottery? Should I log on? Should I not log on? What are we doing? I'm basically just confused, a perpetual state confusion for the last 72 hours. So you'll have to forgive me on this podcast because you've caught me on a bad day.
No, I caught you on a good day, and I know full well I have. So no.
Oh dear.
Right. So today we're going to talk about because it's all about marketing for coaches or helping coaches, myself included, with marketing. That's the reason I grabbed you, Gene. I'm like, Gene, let's do some podcasts. Let's get the message out there. Look, marketing is, even for me, confusing. And I say even for me, actually, I generally am a really good coach. I can help people overcome whatever we need to help them overcome: trauma, anxiety, stress, confidence, and all those kind of things. And we talked about it last time about niching. I said, look, I've got too many skills. We talked about not niching, but making sure that the conversation is right in each. So today we're going to talk about messaging.
Yeah.
And you're going to share some of those tips that you said you've been working with another client. We get confused with messaging. So I'm confused about messaging. So Jade, these are one of those podcasts where I'm just going to let you talk.
Oh, God help you.
No, it's good. So as a marketing expert, you help people market their services. Give me an example of some of the people that you're working with without saying the people who they are you're working with.
So I met with a client recently and they just got themselves a little bit discombobulated, particularly over social media marketing. And one of the things they said was that, they felt they'd let the business down because they didn't feel like they were putting out the right posts, as they didn't know what to write. What pictures should they post? Should they have done a video? Should they have worded it this way? Should they have worded it that way? Was that word too big? Was that word too long? And the whole opening conversation, the first 15 minutes, it was really intense. It was quite overwhelming. And I thought, oh my God, this is social media. It's supposed to be fun. It's social media. It's supposed to be fun. Why is it so complicated for people? And then it's because there's so much information.
Yeah.
So you've got a guide online that says you have to do this, and you've got another guide online that says you have to do it this way. And then you've got a post on LinkedIn that's 5 top tips to improve your reach, to improve your engagement metrics. And you've got this overwhelming amount of information available to you online that makes it feel really overwhelming to manage your own social media channels. And pardon me. And I think one of the key fundamentals when it comes to messaging, we're going to dive right in. One of the key fundamentals is keep it simple. It's clarity over complexity. If you are stressing about the type of language you need to use. If you are stressing about, is this picture the right color? Is this picture got the logo in the left-hand side? Should it be in the right-hand side? Should this picture have been a video? Should this have been 180 characters or 160 characters? Should this have had 12 hashtags or 6 hashtags? Should it be 3 paragraphs and 2 call to actions? Just stop, just take a breath and go right back to the basics and think about what message is it that you're trying to deliver to your audience. What is that message? Keep it clear, keep it direct, and post it. And there's steps and strategies and stuff that you can do to make that easier. And we'll cover those and we'll go on to it. But if you're starting to feel that overwhelmed and you're starting to feel that sort of confused, hectic, and you're just hating what you're doing on social media, just stop and take a wee breath. Like it shouldn't be that hard. It is social media. It's supposed to be fun. Even in sort of, complex areas of the work that you guys do in coaching, you can still have a bit of fun with this. You can show people the brighter side of life. You can show people things that they've got to look forward to by utilising your services. Not all the sort of challenges and struggles that they're going through. I know a lot of people talk about pain points, hit a pain point. Okay, yes, you can do that. You can also hit a desire. Help them see what they can achieve. Help them see who they can become. Help them see all the good things that are waiting for them when they overcome or they deal or they battle through whatever challenge it is that they're going through at the moment. Use social media to be the good guy and not prey on their pain points as well.
So so what I remember from when I was starting marketing for being a coach was always tell your story. My story should have, this is where I was, this is where I am now, and this is what I did in between. And I never felt, it's not that I didn't feel comfortable with that, but I see a lot of those posts and my judgment, I read them and think sanctimonious. What, right? I do. I read those posts. So that's my judgment for those posts. But then I'm thinking, because a lot of the times when it comes to marketing, they say, who's your ideal client? Oh, well, it's you 5 years ago. But I'm like, no, I'm not my ideal client, because I probably wouldn't have gone with a coach anyway, right? Because I was struggling. So I said, I'm not my ideal client. But recently I've been helping teenagers and business owners manage their mind, their energy, their anxieties, and their traumas from past experiences. So when it comes to you touched on that point there. Don't do their pain points as much. Do their desires. So what do you mean by desires?
Okay,
explain that one.
What motivates them? What gets them out of bed in the morning? What do they want to achieve in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? When you speak to your clients, because I'm going to assume you're all doing market research and understanding not just demographics, but psychographics of your target audience.
There's a word.
There's a word. There's a buzzword. We'll come back to that. So there's a couple of things you can do for understanding your audience. So let's go back to that for a second. So knowing your audience inside and out is crucial. Okay. Yeah. You want to be able to understand the data, the demographical data. So you can use surveys and polls to gain quantitative data. So that's statistical insights, general preferences, how old you are, what do you do for a job, where do you live, what's your household income. These are the kind of quantitative stats, okay? But you've got qualitative stats available to you too. These are the kind of psychographic tools and information that you can use to help tailor your messaging. So if you think about psychographics as the things of what do they care about, how do they interact with you, what are their attitudes, what are their beliefs, what are their motivations, what makes them tick, what makes them cry, what makes them happy, how do they react to stress, how do they react to pressure. So these are that kind of, they're the next level. So that's the next level of understanding of the people that you're speaking to. And, you know, it's all very well and good creating an audience persona of Joe that's 42 years old and he works in corporate finance. He's got a dog and 2 children. He's been married for 12 years. That tells you his demographic, his life style around him, but it doesn't actually tell you what he wants or what he wants to get out of life. And especially in your area of work, that's really, really important, because when you speak to him now in an email, or if you speak to him on Facebook, or if you speak to him via your website, you really want to pick out what does Joe want in 5 years' time? Is he feeling stressed right now? Is he not coping with that because, you know, the pressure from his job is making him react in compulsive ways? It's making him really irritable with those kids. What does he want to achieve by enlisting your services? Does he want to perform better at work? Does he want to use that better performance to get a step ahead in his career? Does he want to be less irritable with the kids so he can spend more quality time with them? He wants to take them on holiday, something he's not been able to do because he's actually feeling quite anxious and he can't face an airport right now. That deeper level means when you write your post on social media or you're writing an email to him in your email marketing, you can get to that nitty-gritty level of what motivates him. Where does he want to be? And how are you going to get him there with the services that you offer? And speak to him on his level.
So I have a question then.
Oh, okay.
So if I want to talk to the parents of the children that are struggling. I don't want to talk to the teenagers.
Okay.
I want to talk to the parents, because it's the parents that's going to pay for the service, let's be honest.
Yeah.
So what's the pain points, or what's the desires that do, because I know a lot of my coaches that work with teenagers as well. So what kind of messaging would we want? Because if we can model the messaging for the parent to pay for the children and stuff like that, then we can model that for other people. That would be my way of thinking, is as long as I know the desires of the parent, then I kind of know the desires of my other clients and stuff like that. So using that as an example, what's the desires of, I've got some in my head.
Yeah.
Because I'll let me try and, so this is my messaging. My messaging, I love this, Jade, because you are, I can tell.
So I'm getting ready for this. Let's go.
Right. So the big sippy cup. I love it.
It is just juice.
Of course it is. Of course it is. Absolutely. So so what my messaging would be, are you fed up of waiting lists 18 months before your child gets seen? Are you wanting your children to be more successful, happier? Are they wanting to not be diagnosed with maybe a label or something that they might not have? Do you want you as a parent to feel like you've done the right thing for your kids? That would be 5 points that I would they be good, or what would be better?
So there's two things.
Perfect.
One, I'll speak to you as a parent.
Perfect.
Then I'm going to speak to you as a marketing consultant.
Right.
So as a parent, and again, 2 points now as a parent, for my kids' perspective, I want them to do well and I want them to be successful, and I don't want to wait. So everything you've said there is accurate. But as a parent, I am exhausted. I am frustrated in dealing with their attitude and their behavior. I want respite. I want relief. So if you're targeting the parents, yes, there is a selfless element to parenthood, but also bear in mind,
with a laugh. I love it. I saw your eyes.
There is also a very selfish element to parenthood, and I'm not ashamed to admit it, and I hope none of the audience will disagree with me here. But sometimes it's bloody exhausting. Like, everything's always about them all the time. I want some help. I want some relief. I want some support. I want someone to listen to me when I moan about how awful it feels sometimes to watch them struggle. It's not because they're awful. It's because they're going through an awful thing and I can't fix it. And that makes me feel like crap. That makes me feel like I'm not doing a good enough job as a mum. That's actually a really big pain point for a mum who's actually going through something with her kid at the moment. She's getting some hearing tests and it's all a big worry. And my little girl, she's 6 and she's off to audiology and she might need a wee hearing aid. And, you know, she'll live and she'll cope and it's fine and it's nothing major, but she's sad and she's not acting herself. And that's a worry for us because she's worried and she's out of character and we have to shout now, but not shout angrily, just shout. And that's really hard to do because when you raise your voice, you just sound angry and you're trying not to sound angry. And then suddenly you're in this spiral of, oh my God, now she thinks I'm mad at her. I'm not mad at her. And this is tiring. This is tiring for me. And selfishly as a parent, I just need a break from it. I just need it to stop. So from the parent side of things, Yes, messaging, that means you can help the kids, but also think about what is that benefit for the parent? What did they get out of using your services for their child? Did they get respite? Did they get relief? Did they see results quicker that makes them feel better too?
Yeah.
Marketing consultancy head on, it's all very well and good asking me as a marketing person, but if I didn't have kids, I'm not the person to ask. You need to do some research. Yeah. So the people listening to this, speak to parent friends. If you know you're looking at targeting a similar audience, get onto parent forums. These places are incredible. Mumsnet is a fantastic one. Get onto these sort of conversation boards. Reddit is a wealth of topics where people are just talking about things that affect them. So if you're looking to find out what is bugging people, go and ask the people that you're targeting. We can guess all we want what we think is a pain point or a desire or a challenge, but until we actually do the market research, we don't know. Yeah. So a marketing person would be saying to you right now, you know, I am just one parent as well. That is just my view. You want to take a sample of people. Yeah. You want to speak to 50 parents and you want to ask them that question, get those responses and understand what they're telling you and use that for your messaging.
So the messaging, what is the messaging, this is where I was, or is this where you want to be? When it comes to the messaging, so that when people watch this podcast, they go, right, now I understand messaging.
Okay, so the messaging is what you're saying. So if you're, let me think about the best way to say this, right? So if you're writing a post for social media, or you're writing an article for your website, or you're writing the homepage copy, or you're creating a leaflet, what message you put on that, what is it there for? Is it an about us? Is it promoting a service? Is it telling a story? Is it a case study? Like, what is the purpose? Like, what is the core message? What's the single most important thing you want your audience to remember or feel about what you're talking about in that moment? Ask yourself, what problem does that solve? Or does it improve your customer's life? Strip away any other information that doesn't directly support that message and use a sentence or a statement to define what that message is and keep it super simple. So, for example, you're making a post on social media about a new service offering. What is it? Who does it help? Why should they use it? What is the benefit to them? Not the features of the service. What does it do for them? That's what that post is about. You're writing an about us section, so you want to convey credibility, trustworthiness. You want to explain your history and your experience and how you got here. That's relevant. That's that storytelling. You write that and nothing else matters on that page. People struggle because they start writing that and then they'll start talking about their services. Then they'll start talking about their granny's dog that one time crossed the road, and then they'll put that in the copy. And then they'll have a video of something that's completely unrelated. And that's when it starts to get a bit confusing. So give yourself a wee plan. Like, just get a piece of paper and say, what am I going to talk about this week? Where am I going to talk about it? And identify what that core message is on each of the platforms or the channels where you're going to be talking about it, and just make it super simple for yourself and don't overcomplicate it.
Nice. So, am I allowed to ask what your marketing pitch, your messaging would be to me as a coach to buy your service? What would your messaging be for me?
I'm not really good at marketing.
Reverse engineer what you just said.
I said something really good the other week, actually, and I can't remember what I said. I should really write stuff down. Do you know what? I'm not going to speak for all marketers, but I'm going to speak for myself in this moment to say I hate marketing myself. I can't stand it. I get cringe. I'm just like, oh yeah, I do marketing stuff. I do it quite well. I think I know what I'm talking about. No, I help small and medium-sized business owners understand marketing in a way that makes it accessible for them to do. Essentially, I'm not the person that will be doing your marketing in 12 months' time. I'm the person that will work with you to help you understand market in a way that means you'll be able to take that on if that's what you wanted to do. And you could do that with confidence and knowledge to be able to do your own marketing. Because one of the things that I found in the last 3 months is a lot of small business owners don't have the budget to hire a marketing team, not in the long term. It's expensive. It is an expense. They don't have the budget to enlist retainer agencies for a long period of time. And then what happens is they tap into marketing services through these consultants or agencies, and they do it for maybe 6 weeks, and then they need to have a break because it's so costly. Yeah. And then they realize they need marketing again, and then they have to go back. And that's not great, because in that interim period, all your momentum and everything you've achieved kind of goes by the wayside because you don't know what you're doing. You don't feel confident. You get stuck, you get muddled. So then you spend more money getting somebody to come in and you start again, and that's not helpful. So one of the things I've really enjoyed doing is working with businesses is just to give them a bit of confidence and kind of coach them to understand a little bit, not like you guys, like not real coaching, just mentoring.
Yeah.
Mentoring, really. Yeah, not proper coaching. But just helping them to understand what is marketing. It's not, I might get shot for this, but it's not actually that difficult. Like, it's not, there's a lot of elements to it, and keeping on top of the trends and the changes and the technology, it's hard work. It's not, I don't need a doctorate. I don't need to be qualified in emergency medicine to do this role, but you do have to keep up to date with things. It's an industry that changes all the time, and as a small business owner, you are servicing your clients, you are running your business, you're trying to be an accountant, you're trying to be a salesperson, you're trying to be a director or a CEO, you're trying to do all of these things. And social media, just that little part, but really important part of marketing, is a full-time job. You look at these big companies and they've got teams. They've got teams of marketers. One's doing email marketing, one's doing a social media assistant job, one's doing social media manager's job, one's a marketing manager rallying the troops. You've got somebody doing copy, you've got somebody doing graphic design. But we're asking small business owners to do all of that. Yeah. We're asking you as a coach to do all of that, plus sales, plus coach people, plus personal development, plus do your books. Like, that is a lot. That is a lot. So I help businesses understand what you can do with the time you've got and the budget you've got that will help your business grow in a way that's sustainable. And you won't need me in 12 months because I've helped you get to where you need to be. If you want to go through another period of growth, I'll upskill you again. We can do it together. It's fine. There might be another element of marketing you want to bring in. Maybe you've kind of avoided email marketing. I'm your girl. I love email marketing. We can do that. Like, there might be that you've got a new CRM coming in and you want to kind of cover that off with someone. That's fine. But I like that way of working. It means people don't need to rely on me, but I have really good relationships. And there's things that come up all the time. Oh, I've got a new project on, and yeah, it's really good fun, and it keeps my days dead varied. So that was a really long way of me saying I do marketing stuff and I can help your business. See, Cuddy, I don't like that.
That was no, but your messaging was long, and as a coach,
really long.
No, not at all. No, it's because we keep.
It's because we're talking. If that was in a social media post, it'd be like 3 sentences.
No, it's a good answer, because these are the questions that coaches, therapists, helping practitioners, whatever you want to call yourself, we have these questions, and it's about pinpointing and putting people into the right place. That, do you think, with your experience, because I maybe this is a judgment on my part, I'm always trying not to judge, but the more I'll try not to judge, the more judgment pops up. Do you think people do try to overcomplicate everything?
Yeah, 100%.
That comes the fear of not knowing, or the fear of not being good enough at marketing, or the fear of making a mistake with every post, just creates that overthinking. I'll always talk about the monkey mind, but it just creates that, what am I doing?
Yeah, and do you know what? I don't think it's a bad thing, because there's an element of fake it till you make it with any job. Like, so before, in between my marketing days, I worked in recruitment. So there's a big element of fake it till you make it in a lot of situations, and I think you need to have a little bit of that. In fact, I think we were at a conversation, there was a speech, and there was a statement that was made, T and T, I'll say. I don't know if I can say it on the podcast.
Tits and teeth.
That's the one. I didn't
I'm
want
all
to be the one
tits
that
and
said
teeth.
it.
Absolutely.
Tits and teeth and fake it till you make it. They're two quite prominent sayings that I've used throughout my life, because sometimes you just don't know, but actually it'll only take you 5 minutes to go and figure it out and find the answer. But likewise and equally, there is a time and place for saying I don't know. And I'm not shy saying that. There are times where I have been in some very senior meetings, and it's like, I don't actually know the answer to this, but if you give me some time, I'll go away, figure it out, and come back to you, and then we'll take it from there, and we'll come up with that. I don't think a lot of people have the confidence to be able to say that, particularly when it's not a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So if it was me and you having a meeting and you're like, oh, Jay, can you do this? I feel quite comfortable with you saying, oh, Curry, I've got no idea what the hell I'm doing. I'll go and figure it out. But for a lot of people, you're in a room with 2 or 3 people, or it's a new client, or it's someone that you're intimidated by, or it's somebody that you're really impressed by, somebody you look up to, and you don't want to say you don't know. Like I feel like I was trained when I was younger to say, like, if you said, I don't know, you were stupid, you were inept, like, you don't know what you're talking about. How can we know it all? Like, you can't know it all.
See, I'm the opposite. I literally say an awful lot, no idea, but I'll figure it out, but no idea. I'm extremely comfortable in my skin to say I have no idea what you've just said, but tell me again, because it'll probably go in.
I'm a 50-50. Like, there'll be times like, yeah, of course, I know just enough about, like, football, right? Football is a perfect example. And it's like, oh yeah, England are going to do really well this year. I'm like, yeah, great team this year. It's probably the best chance they're going to have. I only know to say that because I heard somebody say it once on a call the other night. I know nothing about football, but just enough to get past that bit of the conversation and move on. I can do that, but I'm really good at a pub quiz as well, general knowledge pub quizzes. I do that. I have this thing where I can read a thing and it's in my head and that's it. And it's a really, really handy skill to have, although completely useless about 95% of the day.
So I have a question for you.
Right, okay, yeah, go back to the actual podcast.
How's Scotland's teams looking this year?
Yeah, they've had better days, but I do believe if we qualify, we're getting the 1 o'clock in the morning thing. The government just approved that. So if we get through the next stage, we'll be able to keep pubs and clubs open until 1 in the morning. That will be fabulous. So what are you having for tea?
I've had my tea, but that's a great question. They've already qualified for the.
Qualified was the wrong word. Do you know what? There's buzzwords in football.
Close. You were so close.
You weren't supposed to listen to every word I say, because when I talk about football, people switch off.
So, but here's the thing: I know nothing about football. I remember speaking to a friend a long time ago, a young friend of mine, and he asked me the question. He went, Cuddy, I just want to be the smartest person in the room. I'm like, all right, there's a really good, I forgot the name of the book, but there's a really good book, How to Be the Smartest Person in the Room. And I went, the smartest person in the room is generally the quietest one. He was like, what do you mean? Because he's listening and learning.
Oh.
He's listening and learning, and then like a parrot, he'll go and repeat that conversation over at that conversation. The smartest person in the room will be silent for the first hour, just taking everything in, listening to conversations, and then like a parrot, he'll go and repeat everything he said, so that when someone asks about Scotland, yeah, I don't think their centre forward's going to be as good as you, but they've got a really solid back four, which is going to bode well for him with the Germany opening game on the 13th of June. And I know nothing about football, but that would be a very good response to anyone.
Right. Okay. Duly noted. Yeah. Jade, shut up.
No, that's the thing, to be the smartest person.
I'm going to read that book. I love books like that. I
can't remember what the book it was. It might have been Dale Carnegie, How to Meet People and Influence. How to Make Friends and Influence People.
How to Make Friends and Influence People or something. Yeah, I've heard of that one.
It's the #1 book read by cult leaders. True story. True story.
I don't know if that encourages me to read it more or puts me off.
And I don't get why cult leaders would read, because there's not that much in the book that makes you cult leaderish, or the ability to. It was about remembering people's names, how to make people feel special, and how to let people speak for an hour, then just ask them a question after an hour, and then
Oh,
make the sale. It was a clever book. It was a
I
clever book.
definitely need to read that because I am awful with names. Really good with faces. I really struggle with names.
The most important thing to most people is their name and their identity.
I
And
know,
if
and I'm
you
really
don't remember
bad.
their name, they're like, who is that wanker not remembering my name?
I'm lucky though. I can blame it on my brain disorder. Like, I've got a disability, so it's okay.
I had one of my bosses who to this day always asks me about my wife. And she used to always ask me, how's Carol? And the fact that my senior boss at Royal Caribbean knew who my wife was
Oh,
meant the world to me, and I would have done anything for her. I'll even say she'll not watch the podcast, but it was Alison Fraser. And then she left the company, and then the new person came in, and I only ever waited for him to once ask me, how's your wife, Carol? She'd never met her. She just knew. She must have asked someone. That's Cuddy's wife. She wrote it down. So every time we were in a conversation, she might have had a card at the side of the camera. Ask Cuddy about his wife, Carol. And I would have done anything for that woman. And I waited for my new superior before I left Royal Caribbean to ask me once about my wife. And I think in a conversation, I might have said, what's my wife's name? He just looked at me like, what do I need to know that for? Exactly. I didn't last long at the company
oh.
after that.
What
So
did you
little
do at
things
Royal
that matter to people.
Caribbean?
That I was a cruise director at Royal Caribbean, fantastic company to work for. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. I did not know that.
Yes. Yeah, we got a lot of good trainings for leadership and management and things like that at Royal Caribbean. Fantastic company to work for.
That's awesome. That would
Yeah.
be cool. I think I'd like
Perfect.
that. Sorry,
So
we've digressed again.
yeah, I've
Sorry.
digressed, but it's still about the messaging and how to effectively message to the right. So you can have
Yeah.
different messaging. So we talked about this about not
Yes.
niching, but you can have the different messaging on different social media channels.
Yeah, well, and you should as well. And the reason for that is, so if you think about your, we call it a cross-channel approach. Okay, so if you think about the vibe, I'll use a really cool term here, like your vibe on Facebook, versus the vibe on TikTok or from your website, it's actually quite different. So there's a cultural vibe on each of these social media platforms. And the one thing I would say is if you've got a piece of content, so you've wrote a blog post, for example, for your website, and they talk about reusing and repurposing content and marketing. And repurposing is a really handy tool thing to do. It's where you've got like a super long blog post, right? I don't know if you can see my hands. It's super long. I don't know, it's like 750 words or whatever. And you can take elements of that blog post and repurpose it for email. And then you can take elements and repurpose it for an Instagram post or a Facebook post or a LinkedIn post. But some people, because they're really stretched for time, and I get it, is they take one post that they wrote on LinkedIn and they copy it and paste it into Facebook, and they copy and paste it into Instagram, and they copy and paste certainly 100 and something characters to go into Twitter. And then they copy and paste that content to go into an email marketing message that they send out to their whole entire database with no segmentation. And we won't cover that in this podcast, but we will cover that at some point. But what they do is they take that one message, and because they're stretched so thin on so many different channels, they use the same thing over and over again. But actually, how someone is expecting the vibe to be on LinkedIn versus Facebook is quite different. So how they perceive and read that message feels quite different, and you shouldn't do it, essentially. And I know why you do it. You do it because you don't have enough hours a day. Time is precious. We're all time poor. So what you should actually do is thinking about, now you know your audience, now you know their desires, now you know what motivates them, now you understand them, you know their demographics, their psychographics, you know what channels they're using. They're primarily, let's say, on Facebook and LinkedIn, or they're primarily on TikTok and Snapchat, let's just say, for argument's sake. Double down on these platforms. God, I hate that term. Why did I use it? Go hard on where they are primarily, because what you're doing by spreading yourself so thin and not tailoring these messages and not honing that message specifically for that platform, for that person, you're wasting your time and your efforts. You're not getting the right message across. and you're actually just making yourself have extra work. When if you cut out cross-posting to 6 different places in a website, in an article, in an email, etc., if you just focused on 2 or 3 rather than 6 or 8, you would have more time. You would be able to hone your message. You would be able to speak to that individual, talk about your service in a way that benefits them, and you would get more out of it. You would have more connection with your audience. You would build loyalty. You would build brand awareness, all the buzzwords, all the marketing buzzwords here. You would be able to do that because you're not wasting time just spitting out reused, rehashed copy. You'd be able to really craft that message, really speak to them and make an impact and make a difference.
Nice.
You don't have to be everywhere. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
That bombshell. On that mic drop. On that genius from Jade Wood. We will see. If it's in the mind, it can be managed. And I am extremely excited to be waiting for the next episode of the marketing edition with Jade Wood, the marketing legend from Glenrothes. Thrive Marketing, driving force. We will see you on the next podcast. Bye.
Bye.